All right, so I think the stream thinking about things ready to go though. So hello everybody, Making ZardX here, back at it again to give you another very exciting episode on my ZardCast podcast. That being my episode 103. Now I don't know about you, Steven. I've been a little bit more tired than normal. Yes, I had a lot of stuff going on in my personal life and stuff like that though, but Nintendo didn't make it easy on us with them gosh dang Switch 2 pre-orders, man. Look, I was supposed to hit the gym early in the morning the next morning, and I had to skip a day. I was like, dog, I was tired. I stayed up way too late and way too long and got stressed out to there and back way too much than what I oughta shoulda though. But we'll talk about that here later on in the show though. But how's it going, Steven?
It's going good. I'm also slightly sleep deprived, but that's just the usual.
Yeah, I don't know. I was like, man, I'm in the stretch of span right now where I'm about to work 6 days straight. I don't know. This is the way I got my schedule lined up though. But
I do that every week, so I get you.
I don't know how some people do that 6 days either, whether it be just their standard work schedules though, or they be bouncing back and forth with two jobs. I know some people like that. I'm like, I don't know. Y'all
Uh, I
driving yourself to an early grave. I don't know.
I
Everything has a
I could
season, but
never do I could never do two jobs, okay? I would never be able to do that. I have one job, 8-hour shifts, 6 days a week. Simple.
oh yeah, it is. Alrighty. Well, in terms of the slew of stuff that we're gonna be able to go through and talk and discuss about tonight, it's gonna be a little bit more back to the normal kind of rhythm and flow of things where we have a mixture of everything from the standard pop culture to the Marvel stuff to what we've been playing and then the typical gaming news. So, because I know the last couple, it's been almost all focused on Nintendo because what coming off of the heels of them having a direct that was focused on Switch 2, then having the Switch 2 direct stuff, and then we had to talk about all of the games and stuff they announced and stuff. It was just heavy Switch 2 stuff, but we can dial it back just a little bit. There'll still be constantly some news updates, like we have some things to talk about, like with the Switch 2 pre-orders and stuff, though. But we'll have more time to allocate towards other stuff that's also going on in the gaming sphere and pop culture and everything else in between, though. So yeah, we got to talk about the Minecraft movie because we've been putting that one off by a little bit, though. I know you watched it, Steven, so I got to hear your thoughts on the pot on that. In terms
Okay.
of Marvel news, we managed to get another trailer for Fantastic Four, and I needed to give my spill on the Daredevil Disney Plus series. Was that show right there, man? Oh man, they weren't playing around on that mess. It's good to be back to
I have
form.
heard.
And then we'll talk about some games that we've been playing and going through recently, though. And then we got to talk about some gaming news. There's going to be one section dedicated for PlayStation because we got to talk about some PS5 prices going up, PlayStation Plus going up. But we got to balance the yin and yang out with the negative stuff. They did manage to give us some more information on Ghost of Yotei, so I got to get my spill up on that because that's a highly anticipated game for me to coming out this year. And then we'll round up the night with some Nintendo stuff as we got some updates for an NSO game that managed to drop on the service. Got a little bit more information on if you want to have that GameCube NSO controller. That we managed to get a little more information on that. And then obviously we'll end the whole night off on the Switch 2 pre-orders though. We got to build our way up on that though.
Yeah.
But that's gonna do it in terms of the major headlines. So we might as well go ahead and jump up in this thing though. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and jump straight up into that pop culture segment. Alrighty, Steven. So it's been about what, almost a month now since you've seen the Minecraft movie. I still hadn't heard like your
Um,
overall full thoughts on this thing yet.
I think it is one of the best so bad it's good movies I've seen in a while. Okay?
Mm. Oh, I'm
Like
getting
I've
a call
seen
right
stuff
now.
like
Go ahead
oh,
and keep talking
okay.
and stuff, and I'll let you know when I'm
I
back.
gotcha. So I would compare the Minecraft movie to like a very similar to Madam Web for me. Where like Madam Web is a movie that's not good. Uh I think Zard's on the phone. Yeah. But yeah, I was just gonna say Damn, I got my rhythm all messed up, Zard, because I was able to hear you talking.
Dang, I'm sorry about that. They couldn't
It's
hear me on
fine.
the stream, but I guess you heard me. But
Yeah,
what
no,
were you
okay,
saying?
back to what I was saying. It's a very good, so bad it's a good movie. I would compare it to Madam Web, which is, I've watched Madam Web like 2 or 3 times. It is one of the worst movies I've ever seen, but it has so many funny moments. And the Minecraft movies kind of like that for me. For every for every dumb, stupid ass, goddamn uh moment in the movie, there's a moment that equally just makes me smile, just because of how ridiculous it is. Like, for example, the human characters in the movie, because the human characters have a big role in the movie and then they get transported to Minecraft world. Like, the human characters are not all that interesting except for two of them. Jason Momoa, who's like that guy with wearing the pink like varsity suit, and like the
Why in the world is that dude
uh
rocking all that paint though? Like I was like,
and he
dang,
he he looks, his whole thing is that he's like a 80s like gamer that has like a washed up gaming champion.
the heck? Okay, whatever. Keep going.
Either way, like, he's one of the best characters. He has amazing chemistry with Jack Black, who is also in this movie as Steve. And he, because when we first seen the movie, he looked like he was phoning in his performance, which you can kind of say he still is, but like, he's putting a lot of like craziness into it. He just acts like the most wacky person. Like, he does not act like a human being. Anytime that something from Minecraft is said, he just says it in the weirdest way possible. Like, he goes flint and steel and the nether. And everyone's just been making fun of the way that he says like all this stuff from Minecraft. And the chicken jockey escapades.
Hold up. Okay, so you said chicken jockey, so we got to pause right
Yeah.
there. Oh
Chicken.
shoot, this is the only thing I can really give my 2 cents on because I remember a lot of people were going and watching this movie in theaters. Even a couple of people that I knew from work that I thought honestly wouldn't had seen it. One person was about what a few years younger than me, so almost about the same age as like my siblings or whatever though. So I was like, okay, I heard that she went with a group of her buddies or whatever though. So I was like, okay, that kind of made sense. The other one was someone older than me, but she has a child or whatever though. So I was like, oh, okay, well, that kind of made sense that her kid or whatever though. So I was like, okay, that made perfect sense though. But I didn't think I would know anybody that actually would have gone and seen this movie though. But the stupid little chicken jockey scene right there, and people throwing up the popcorn, the drinks, whatever they were in the theaters and making that a trend. Gosh dang, y'all gotta have some better class than this. Y'all making people look bad and stuff like that when it comes to just movie adaptations that's over video games and stuff. Like, come on, y'all.
The way I see it, like, obviously it went a little too far, but people were just having fun. Like, a lot of, Minecraft, if you think about it, is a game that has spanned 3 generations now. The early 2000s kids, like your millennials, grew up with Minecraft. Your Gen Zers, your Zoomers, they kind of grew up as Minecraft was becoming big. So by the time they got like 13, 14, Minecraft was already a well established big game. And then you have your Gen Alpha, who is growing up during Minecraft's like phase as like this crossplay game. Minecraft has kind of become another live service game to adapt with the times. So Minecraft has basically lasted 3 generations of children now. So of course this movie was going to have a huge audience going to see it. I did not expect people to be going crazy in the goddamn theater screaming chicken jockey, but you know it sadly did not happen in my theater because we went opening night, and it was me and my brother that went because he likes, I
Oh,
of
none of
course,
the rest of the family? It was just you and him?
no.
Oh,
And
okay.
yeah, yeah, I grew up playing Minecraft, and my brother just knows about Minecraft from like watching YouTube videos, and he's played a couple times.
Okay.
So he was like saying, when Jack Black said chicken jockey, my brother like joined in, but he wasn't throwing shit.
Or
And
else you would have kicked him out personally.
honestly, it is just nice to see people having fun with a movie. Like, of course, the movie's not all that good, And I don't really see a lot of people arguing that. Like, I don't see that many people
It's just
arguing that
like a
it's secretly
stupid,
a good
kind of
movie. It's
funny-ish
just
movie.
yeah, it's a stupid, like, kind of funny, dumb movie. Which, I
Mm.
guess it's good for families. Maybe I don't think so, but good for them.
I don't know.
I
The
think it's
person I was talking about at work, shoot, her son saw it like two, almost three times. I was like,
yeah.
goodness.
The one thing about the actual movie, the movie's just ironic masterpiece. But if we're talking about the actual movie for a second, the movie gets away with a surprising amount of violence.
Really?
There is a scene, yes, there is a scene close to the beginning of the movie where the main villain, quite literally, stabs and kills a child.
What the heck?
Because there's like the pig, in the Minecraft in the Nether, there's like the piglins.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so they're like the main villain of the movie is like the piglin leader. And there's like this little child who's like making a drawing and she hates creativity. So she's like, "Oh, don't be scared. I just want to look at your drawing." The little child gets close, immediately gets stabbed by the villain, and then he
Hmm.
turns into like a pork chop because he's a pig.
It kind of makes sense. I mean, I feel like some things nowadays they get a little bit of violence up in them. So
Yeah,
yeah.
but like, I don't know. Of all movies, with how safe this movie is, I did not expect it. And then
Hmm.
there's so much other stuff. This movie has so much stuff to talk about. There's also the fact that it kind of looks like one of those like Minecraft in a real life videos from years ago. It just has that weird uncanny like promotional render look to the whole thing. And I don't really like how the movie looks. I do not like how some of the mobs like the zombies and skeletons look at all. But like whatever. They hardly appear. If you want me to be completely honest, like the ones that appear the most are the piglins, and they are the ones that look the best.
Oh no,
So
I look at those
whatever.
designs and I'm like, oh gosh. I was like, some of that stuff just kind of freaks me out though. But you would say
Yeah, I
overall
don't
with
know.
the CGI, it did its part. Like it was
It was
okay for the
fine.
most
It was
part.
done by Legendary, who does like Godzilla and stuff, or like the
Yeah,
Godzilla
yeah,
and the
they're known for
monster.
good stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, like, they do good stuff. It's just the art style. It's not necessarily their bad visual effects. It's the art style. Like case in point, the villagers. The villagers look bad, but like I don't know. It's almost kind of funny, especially because one of the characters has a subplot where they're dating a villager, and it's
Ugh.
just
It's that one woman, ain't it?
it is
Oh
that it is
gosh,
that
they did go
uh
down that angle. Oh shoot.
yes, but all I'm gonna say is that the movie is as wacky as it is just kind of plays it extremely safe. I don't know. It's a really hard movie to describe. All I can say is that it's not a good movie, but I really enjoyed watching it. Okay,
Okay.
that's that's the
Based
most
on
I could say.
that, it's synopsis. That's definitely wait until it comes out on streaming services, or I'm not gonna pay an extra penny up on that
Oh,
thing.
for you, yeah, don't.
Okay.
But the funnier part, there's an unfinished cut of the movie with deleted scenes floating around the internet, and that cut is even funnier to watch because the movie's already a bit of a so bad it's good movie, and then you get to watch it with like dumbass unfinished effects.
Oh brother.
I didn't
Eh,
watch it, but like I've seen screenshots of the unfinished version, and there's just like floating placeholder mob heads and this and that.
hmm.
Kind of
Okay.
funny, honestly. Oh, I don't know, Zard. I know you don't play that much Minecraft, but I would recommend once it comes on streaming, give it a watch. Maybe I'll
I was about
show
to
it to
say
you.
I
Maybe
used to
we'll
do
watch
a
it.
lot of Minecraft back in the day when this thing first busted out on the scene. Because whenever you said three generations, I was just curious. I looked up and see, I was
Yeah,
trying to remember what year it came out.
2009.
2009. I was like, wait a minute. Think I was 13, roughly
See, yeah.
roughly a teenage, and it kind of lines up because like what, when I was 13 I was in 7th grade, and I remember it was the 8th grade when I started playing it a lot on our PCs at school. And now, so like I was in that ecosystem for like the first year or two whenever it first busted out on the scene. So I mean Minecraft grew up with me. Like I was there at the very beginning. Of course, I kind of dipped out, came back a little bit whenever the what was it? we were playing it on the Switch or whatever though. So I always known about the sucker though. I just hadn't been investing in it for a really long time. But I seen it in its glory days and stuff. But yeah, no, it's kind of crazy though. But yeah, I'll just wait for this movie to come out in on the streaming services, and then I'll finally give it a watch though. But yeah, I guess that's all we can say on that though.
Yeah, it's definitely a watch.
Alrighty then. Well, I guess it'll be a while until we have another video game adaptation movie to talk about though. But the
Well, not
Minecraft movie. The
not
Minecraft movie.
necessarily. Five Nights at Freddy's 2 comes out in December.
Ah, okay. Well, I don't know. You're watching that. You know I won't ever watch that, but whatever.
I will force you to watch it. I will
No,
force
you
you to
will
watch
not. I
both of
hadn't
them.
even watched the first one.
Yeah, we're gonna watch both of them. All right,
Heck no.
that is my
I don't know
promise.
how you
We
get that
will
lore.
watch
All right, we
both
got
of
to move
them.
on. We got to move on. All
Fine,
right.
fine, 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 fine.
All righty. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and jump over to the next major topic. That being that Marvel news though. All right, Steven, we finally managed to get a new trailer for Stinking Fantastic Four. Like, the first one was a tease trailer just to kind of whet our appetites. We saw the thing, Mr. Fantastic, and the rest of the family and stuff. It was some good stuff, though. But I feel like this trailer right here had all the meat and potatoes up on it. Confirmed another character was actually going to be in this movie as well. We kind of speculated and kind of thought about it. If you know anything about the Fantastic
Wait,
Four and the enemies
yeah,
and stuff, like Galactus, that ain't really a spoiler. We saw the dude's shadow in the freaking first trailer, though. We knew that dude was gonna show up somehow, some way up in this movie, but the other one, we didn't have an idea if they were not gonna show up or not. But we got a confirmation up on it though. But just looking at all the family members and stuff, and just that's the first thing I gotta mention right here, Steven. I ain't trying to go too deep up on this mess though. But whenever the trailer just screams it at you, we gotta talk about it at least a little bit though. The time period that the Fantastic Four is in, this is like way earlier in what would have been like the MCU timeline. Almost to the level degree, kind of like what was it? Captain Marvel? Kind of like how that one was set. I think it was set in the no, not I always want to say
80s.
70s,
Captain Marvel was
80s,
the
80s.
80s. There was
I don't
no.
know why I want to say
Oh
70s. I'll
wait,
say
oh
70s
wait,
ain't right. I think it's
might have been
80.
might have been
90?
90s. There was a
90s?
blockbuster. There was a fucking
No, no, no,
blockbuster in
90s,
the movie.
90s, I think. Basically pre-2000s. And I
Yeah.
think obviously with the tech that they have up in this one, that will put it at the 40s, 50s, somewhere around there.
They already said 60s. The movie is an
Oh, 60. Okay.
alternate universe version of the 1960s, which hey, I think makes the movie a lot more interesting. Like it's going to be advanced technology in some ways and less advanced in others.
Yeah, so I was like, okay, so we putting a little spin on that. Still can't go, can't go way back like before Captain America because that's just how Marvel stuff is. He was the first one though. But no, I do like that. But that's what a little nice little spin up on it though. And just looking at all the four different family members and stuff, the way how they interact with people and stuff like that, I like that nice, good synergy that you can just already that's just gonna exist between these four in comparison
Yeah.
to some other superhero groups. Yes, I'm looking at you over there, Stinking Eternals, where you had them halfway fighting with each other and stuff, and could never build a team synergy. But when you got team synergy like a Fantastic Four or a Guardians of the Galaxy or stuff like that, stuff works, and you can do some clever stuff with it though.
Yeah.
So I'm glad we're kind of hitting the roots of that. So at least we shouldn't be rocking down some weird roads or anything like that. But
It
all
looks
of the powers and stuff that they all got and repping, they look pretty good.
Yeah, like they all seem pretty good and like, the movie just seems like it's going to be a relatively upbeat origin story for once. Like, there's obviously there's a lot of like stuff that we see at the end of the trailer, but we find out one of like I'd say one of the major plot points that not a lot of people are talking about, which is like that I think it's Invisible Woman is pregnant. Like like
You know,
she's gonna have a child. The movie's probably gonna end with the child being born.
hey, I'm
With that,
telling
and
you,
that's
they're
why,
they're
and
building
that's
up this young
why,
Avengers group. I'm telling y'all.
and that's why it's called First Steps, like the first steps of a child. Not
Oh,
That
Yeah.
was that was a theory, but yeah, that's definitely the double meaning. And I really like this. I like the positive vibes of like the civilians seem like they like the Fantastic Four. Like all of the civilians seem like they're rooting for the Fantastic Four. You see like mobs of people like so in support of them. And then once everything with Galactus happens, they kind of get a little more worried
Yeah, I mean,
and
it
like
kind of has
they
that
gotta live
same
up to their
vibe.
expectations.
Yeah, it gives off the same vibe as like what Spider-Man does, like with his, friendly neighborhood and stuff like that. Like, like the people in New York, they know Spider-Man. They usually root for him
Well,
and
yeah,
stuff.
and like
And even in the comics, like, Spider-Man has a kind of relationship with the Fantastic Four and stuff. So it's giving us some similar energy waves, and it's gonna be based upon like what we've seen in these trailers, these characters gonna be pretty relatable to almost anybody that's watching it. Which I think that always goes quite a far ways when you're trying to bring a superhero origin story in front of all the people that are going to be watching it at the theaters. Relate, what's the word? R- Relativity? Is that even a word? I don't know. Being able to
relatability,
yeah,
relatability.
Relatability. That's what I'm
Well,
looking for.
I don't know. I feel like relating to the characters isn't necessarily like something that should be applauded. Like I don't know. There's quote
No,
unquote
I no,
relatable
the only
characters in
reason
every
why the only
Marvel
reason
movie.
why I say that is because I felt like in some Marvel movies, not like the most recent one we had with like Brave New World, we already knew about oh gosh, I was about to say something else though. But we already knew about Falcon and stuff. So his story's already been
Well,
established though. But in terms of other newer heroes, whether it been the Disney Plus show series or sometimes like a movie like Eternals and stuff. Like sometimes I watch those movies and I was like, I could not relate or understand the character at all, period
I
though.
guess.
And then when that happens with an origin story, especially, like you're already setting yourself up for a rocky road or whatever.
Well, yeah. Like one of the harder parts is that they are introducing like they're not just introducing new characters. They are introducing an entirely new universe here. So like they need to set the ground rules. They need to set what sets this universe apart. Like we don't know if like is this universe defined by like one event going differently, or is it going to be like entirely different from the very start? Because like obviously Reed Richards is in this timeline, but like is there a Reed Richards in the main timeline that just never like maybe the difference in the main MCU timeline is that they never went up into space and they never got their powers.
Yeah.
And that
And
that
I
that
feel
could be
like
the only difference, honestly.
Yeah, and I do feel like there's going to be something that kind of brings them all together because we all know that this is all going to tie into Avengers Doomsday, as well as Secret Wars and all of that stuff. So it would not surprise me if for some reason we'll see like the first look of Doctor Doom at the very tail end, like the post
Yeah.
credit scenes. I
This
think everybody
movie
and their mama's going to be expecting that.
this movie has to be good. If this movie is not good, the MCU's got a bit of a dire future because the MCU's kind of riding on this movie's success. Like they have to do the Fantastic Four right in order for Doctor Doom to be right. You know what I mean? Like the Doctor Doom and the Fantastic Four are like so integral to each other.
Yeah.
You kind of have to do that right because if you do just Fantastic Four right and you don't do Doctor Doom right, then your main villain for the next Avengers movie is gonna be less interesting. And if you don't do the Fantastic Four right, then why even introduce the Fantastic Four if you're not gonna do them right and they're not gonna matter? Like to our knowledge, the Fantastic Four are gonna be a big part of Doomsday, and then them calling it first steps, kind of implies the existence of another one if this does well.
Yeah, no, I feel like
I'm
they
sure
definitely
they
would do another one.
I'm
I
sure
don't think that's off
Fantastic
the
Four.
table.
Yeah, Fantastic Four is definitely the only thing they have that could actually become big again. Like Deadpool and Wolverine did good, but Deadpool and Wolverine's kind of like a side story almost. Like
Yeah, I mean,
Deadpool and Wolverine's really not going to become important until like Secret Wars. I don't see Deadpool and Wolverine coming back, or especially Deadpool. I don't see Deadpool coming back in anything that's not R rated.
no, yeah, because I feel like that was them wetting their feet just a little bit, just
To
to
see if it R rated would do
slowly
well.
bring in the X Men more so,
Well,
like because they've
well,
been
and
teasing that a little bit.
well,
I feel like eventually they'll pull the trigger up on it though, but that was just kind of dipping the dipping the
well,
toe in the water, really.
we know they're pulling the trigger because the Avengers Doomsday cast has like a ton of X-Men,
Yeah,
which
it's
it's
just
not
kind of like
that's not
it's just kind of
spoiler.
bridging the gap, really, because you got those older people that are you so used to watching the Fox movies and stuff like that, though. But then it's like, how do you break away from that and then fully bring them in the MCU, but you don't necessarily have to do like the whole origin story again all over, or you could put your own little spin on it. It's kind of like how when they brought Spider-Man over, it's like everybody and their mama knows how the story got started, so they were able to do something completely different like that. Like, there's so many different ways you can tell the X-Men and stuff like that, where you want to do something with Wolverine, you want to do something with Storm. I mean, there's a lot of different opportunities that you want to do,
Yeah,
that you could do
but
out there for it.
but regarding the Fantastic Four, back to that, like well, let's just not think about the future of the MCU in this hypothetical.
You
Fantastic
always the
Four.
one that gets this thing going. I'm
Well,
just
yeah, I
saying.
know. I'm just saying. Getting back to the conversation, yes, Fantastic Four. It looks like it could be interesting, and I personally hope they handle everything well. Like, I don't know. I've seen a lot of people complaining about Silver Surfer specifically. Like, quite literally, the only thing they're complaining about is her, Silver Surfer being a woman. Which, like, yes, I know there's alternate universe comics. There's like three times when she was a woman, but like I don't know, it doesn't matter. It's like
It really doesn't
is,
matter. Let's keep
this
it
is
a
a new
buck.
timeline. This is an alternate universe. If the Silver Surfer is a woman, what really changes about the Silver Surfer? The Silver Surfer is a plot device more than anything.
Yeah. So
I don't know.
I would say overall the trailer looks good. It gives me just enough information to kind of get hyped and excited about. And anything else beyond this is usually when I'm kind of bowing out on additional trailers. Like they might drop it, and sometimes it's a coin flip of whether or not I want to see it, because anything more than the teaser and the very first trailer, you start putting two and two together and you start figuring out all these plot points, and I really don't want my mind kind of trekking down that road anyway. Because like, what, this movie comes out in July, we're in the last few days of April, we're basically in the month of May, so we're only like what, almost a couple of months away now. Because like even in May we're supposed to have the Thunderbolts movie come out, and then skip ahead a couple of months later, then we have Fantastic Four. So yeah, it's gonna be a quick turnaround from now to the point of this movie coming out, though. But I'm really excited to see this one.
Also, Superman. I know it's not Marvel, but Superman is
Hold on,
coming
we
out.
don't talk about DC up on this
I
show. What the
listen,
heck?
Superman.
What the
No, no,
heck?
no,
No, heck no, heck
Super.
no.
No, no, you're
I'm sorry.
biased.
I'm sorry.
Superman.
I'm sorry. I'm just kicking
You're
aroused.
biased. Yeah, I know you're joking. But yeah, listen, Superman actually looks like it could be a good movie, and I hope it is because James Gunn's working on it. Okay, Guardians of the Galaxy, all that, and James. From everything I've seen of James Gunn, I like his stuff. So, and that does that movie come out the same day as Fantastic Four, like a couple
I
days
just know
after?
that there's a crap ton of movies coming out during the summertime between like Mission
Yeah,
Impossible. Ain't there a new Jurassic World movie coming out as well? Like
something like that.
there's a crap ton of movies coming out. Like it's a little surreal, to be honest, though. Like you can get yourself one of the movie passes and at least see yourself a movie once every couple of weeks starting in the month of May. Like shoot, even I think Lilo and Stitch, that movie comes out in May, and I might want to go to the theaters and see that
Well,
one. What the heck?
there's a there's a movie that just came out. I think it's called Sinners. It's directed by the same guy that directed Black Panther, Ryan Coogler, and a lot of people are talking about how good that movie is. So
My
I might
brother
go see
went and
that.
saw that one, and he said it
Yeah,
was good. So yeah,
I might go see that, and then I'm gonna go see Thunderbolts. I might buy one of those damn movie passes, depending
I
on
know
how
that's
much
what
they
I'm
are.
saying. I'm like,
It
just
really
go ahead and
depends
look
on if
at
it's
every
gonna
movie
save me
that
money.
comes out between May and July, and if there's at least two movies coming out per month, then you might as well buy the movie pass. You wind up saving
Yeah,
money.
like I don't know. It's much more movies than last year. There was hardly anything last year.
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of superhero stuff going on.
Yeah, so I think that's all of our thoughts on Fantastic Four. So we got a lot of good stuff coming here, though. Now, I got to spill real quick on my boy
All right.
Daredevil over here, though, because oh shoot, for all y'all jokers out there that had not watched Daredevil seasons 1, 2, or 3 originally when it released on Netflix, you can watch that mess on Disney Plus now if you happen to miss it, though. But my gosh, this is how you do a Marvel Disney Plus show, something that keeps you hooked and keeps you coming back week after week after week. It keeps you engaged. You don't know what's happening next. You got cameos and stuff from like some previous seasons and stuff. It's building off of it though. Kingpin is there in all of his glory because I felt like when they were showing Kingpin in what was it? The first time he had his appearance in the MCU was back in the Hawkeye show. Like it looked like he was kind of doing his role, but he was just kind of dipping his toe up in the water or whatever. Though then we saw him a little bit more so in the Echo show. He got to show his colors just a little bit more, but he's been kind of out of whack, and they kind of addressed it in this show right here about like what he was kind of doing those first two shows. But this is the dude back on his old mess, like what we've been seeing in the Netflix series with the first three seasons, though. And I was like, oh heck yes! And then obviously the actor dude that plays Daredevil, it doesn't really feel like he ever dropped a dime up on this mess. It felt like he hadn't even stopped this series. So I think the series started roughly, it was kind of mid to late 2015, after 2015. I was close to 26, 2015, 2016, 2017. Somewhere around that time period is when they started off this the Daredevil series show, if memory serves me right or whatever though. But I just remember watching that mess and I was like, this mess is good. It's dark. It's not like your traditional T-rated Marvel related stuff that you would have saw within a show or a movie. Granted, yes, it's still kind of rated for mature rated audiences or whatever though, but like no, like these people are going at it, they're breaking bones, blood is getting shed and stuff like that though. But I mean, obviously you got Daredevil over here who literally can't see, he's blind as a bat, but because of the chemical stuff that got infected with him whenever he was super young and stuff, lost his sight, enhanced all of his other stuff up in there. So he's kind of like a bat moving around, like echolocation, super sensitive hearing and stuff like that. All of his other senses is heightened, and it just makes him like a really extreme fighter. And it just works with this one series, though. Literally, a lawyer by day, a vigilante at night. Kingpin has this whole thing about vigilantes because they always happen to be stopping him and stuff like that, though. Cool little interesting tidbits. Punisher happens to show up in here, which I was like, oh shoot, I didn't think they were gonna go down that road. Obviously, they throw little teasers and stuff like that with Spider Man and stuff like that, though, because Kingpin's like an enemy of all three: Daredevil, Punisher, Spider Man, all of them. But yeah, overall, man, this show does not disappoint. I think what was it? This first season had about nine. Oh gosh, how many episodes did it have? Like close to 9-ish episodes or so. And it's gonna have roughly about the same amount, maybe one less in season two that's supposed to come out next year in 2026 though. But if you hadn't seen this show, you best start waking up because this is the real deal. This is how you do a Marvel Disney Plus show. All right, I ran it long enough. What you gotta say, Steven?
I've seen a lot of things about this show. I've seen a couple select scenes that shocked me that they were able to do that in a Marvel show. Um, I am very excited to finally watch it. I just had a lot of stuff I was doing this week, so I haven't been able to watch it necessarily. But I do have Disney Plus, obviously. It's not like I can't watch it. It looks like a good show. Really, the only thing stopping me from watching it is that I'm not really that well versed with the other seasons of like the original show, and I
Oh,
feel
I
like I
got you.
gotta watch
Yeah.
that. I
No, yeah,
gotta
because
get
I
back
feel
into
like
that.
if you come in cold and you don't know who Daredevil is, they do have in reference a couple of characters in the past season. Which, if you hadn't seen anything of the first three seasons, then yeah, you're just gonna be kind of left out on the dark and stuff. And then it helps if you knew what Kingpin was doing in the Hawkeye and a little bit of the Echo shows. You don't really need to know a whole bunch, just kind of know that he was just kind of prevalent a little bit in those things. And then that will set you up for this season right here. So yeah, I feel like you would be doing yourself a disservice if you hadn't at least watched the first season. If you want to watch the first season and then jump all the way to current, you can kind of fill in the gaps though. But I feel like you need to at least see season one just to kind of see him in like his raw form of like how he started off with this character.
Well, I think what they're doing here is honestly very interesting. They're just doing like street level stuff. I think that's the fun part about stuff like Daredevil. Everything in the MCU right now is multiverse this, multiverse that. From what I've
I
seen,
I
this
like how you say
show is
multiverse
just
this, multiverse that, but I really
yeah.
haven't felt like it's been like that. or at least not
Well,
the
that's the
past three or
problem.
four.
They called it the
No,
multiverse
no, but
saga, but
you
they're not
no, no,
using
I
it.
know, no, they had to pivot the second that they took King out of the picture. And what the last time we had a movie focusing on the multiverse was like the Doctor Strange movie, and that was
Yeah,
way
but that's
back when.
listen. They can say that they were pivoting all they want, but they already announced Fantastic Four before anything went wrong with Kang. Doctor Doom was gonna play a part in this, no matter what. Whether like, listen, if you ask me, Zard, like I know they pivoted because of Kang, but like there's a possibility that they would have changed it to Doomsday anyways. Remember when Captain America 3 had the title Serpent Society and then they changed the title to Civil War?
Honestly, I don't. It's been so
They
long
they
on that
they
one.
they've changed the name of projects many times in the past. So like we'll
It's
see,
all
but like
part of playing.
even besides any pivoting they might have done, Daredevil just being a nice little street level story when all of this multiverse stuff they constantly do makes no sense. I'm happy. I definitely want more of this. The only thing I've heard that's weird is that apparently they just can't use Spider Man because of Sony. Like, oh my god, this stuff needs to be sorted out. Like, I don't know. Like,
Oh,
he's a
for
street
are you
level
talking about for a Disney Plus show outside of like with
just
the
for
one
any
that
of
we
it,
got
yeah.
for January? Okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
just it's just weird that like they can't use Spider Man for a street level story in New York. Apparently they wanted to use him but couldn't. But either way, like seeing Punisher is always really cool. Yeah, I've seen like clips of his Punisher, and he does a really good performance.
Oh yeah, no, he was really good. I mean, they didn't really get him going until like a little later on, and and that's all I would go in terms of just kind of general summary plot points because I don't want to
Yeah,
spoil the show for anybody that hadn't seen it. But yeah,
yeah, it does look like a pretty good show, and that is honestly quite surprising nowadays from the MCU shows. Like I don't really care about any of them. This is the only one that they might actually get me to sit down and watch. I said that about Loki, but I don't know. Loki just seemed like it
I'm
was
telling
such
you,
a
man. Number one, you need to
well,
go back and watch Loki. I'm telling you, you hadn't
I
even
don't know.
seen the first season. That first season was good, man, and the
Well, yeah,
second
but
one was good too.
it feels like so many of these goddamn MCU shows feel like they could be summarized with like a they can be summarized with like a paragraph, and then I basically am
I know.
closely filled in
I
on what
don't care. I
happened.
don't care what about they say about the summary. The Loki series. Well, now that Daredevil's out, no, I still say it. The Loki series, like season one and season two, I will still argue that that was one of the best Disney Plus shows that you can watch. Point blank. Period. Daredevil comes in at like that number two spot behind the first two seasons of
I don't know.
Loki.
I guess I will find out when I do eventually watch Daredevil, and I will get back to you on that.
Hey, look, man,
Uh,
I watched 5 to 6 episodes in one day. Like when I finally had time to sit down and watch it, I binged the mess out of it. That's how you know it's good. I
how
hadn't
many
done that mess
episodes
in
are
a
in the season?
long time. I think there's like 9-ish. I could pull up my phone on Disney Plus right now, but I think
No,
there's
I
about
believe you.
9-ish. But yeah, so honestly, that's some good stuff. I think the next thing up for Marvel show wise, I think it's Ironheart, and I think that comes out in June, if memory serves me right. So that'll be the next thing up on the docket. Alrighty though. So that's gonna basically do it in terms of all of our Marvel stuff right there. So now let's go ahead and jump on over into the next segment of the show, that being what we've been playing. Alrighty, Steven. Honestly, I was looking back and trying to think exactly what have I been playing the past couple of weeks. And I'm still kind of feel like I've still been in this little tizzy ever since I beaten what was it? Yeah, ever since I beat Metaphor Refantasio, which I played throughout the month of December and a good chunk of January, I hadn't consistently been able to sit down and play a game and beat it like a modern new one. Like even Xenoblade Chronicles X, which came back in March. I dabbled with it for like 1 hour and then I put the thing aside because that was roughly around when the Switch 2 stuff started to roll up and stuff.
It,
And then we figured
yeah.
out, oh, there might be a potential performance thing. I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna put that to the side. I ain't quite feeling it right now, but if they can find a way to get that sucker up to 60 FPS, I'll be all right though. So I hadn't really been playing a bunch of anything, or at
If
least
you want me
nothing
to
big,
be
major, and new.
if you want me to, pull out the game theory cap, I think it quite literally is that, just, since like November, December, that's when all of the Switch 2 stuff really just kind of got set in motion. Ever since then, it's just been kind of like constant anticipation for it. So, like, at least for me, I've just spent a lot of time just, speculating and waiting for the Switch 2 and being excited about it. I kind of haven't felt the need to play any new games for a while because I've just been so excited about this stuff. I'm at this point, I know it's still a month away, but I don't really know what games I'm going to be playing until this damn system comes out. I just want it now.
Well, I will say this. One of the things we did play recently, because we were playing this
Oh
the other
God.
night, Donkey Kong Country 2 on the Super
Oh
Nintendo app. Hey,
yeah.
man, oh man, I got a story to tell y'all. So get this. Steven and our other good buddy Sonic over here, they were playing the little co-op thing, because on the Super Nintendo, you can do it as like a two-player tag team. So like what, Steven was playing as Diddy Kong and Sonic was playing as Dixie Kong, and they were rotating back and forth, and they've been doing this little series time and time. I will see and peek in on them when they'll be playing the game and streaming it on Discord and stuff. And they got halfway through the worlds, all the worlds and stuff. I want to say y'all might have got close to the B world or whatever, like with all them honey levels and
Yeah,
stuff.
I
And then
think
that
so.
at that point, I was like, you know what? Hold my drink here real quick. I was like, watch me. Look, I played the mess out of DKC 2 on the GBA, but I never beaten the Super Nintendo version. I was like, you know what? Watch me. I was like, watch me start this game later than them and wind up beating it before they could have the chance to beat it. And they're like, oh, you ain't gonna be able to pull it. I was like, watch me. And then I think I did this throughout the span of 2 or 3 of y'all's PlayStations. I don't know how many PlayStations y'all had, but the 2 or 3
Yeah.
that I noticed y'all were playing on Discord, I would join in, I'll share my screen or whatever, and then I'll play as far as I can get before Sonic says I have to go, and then that's when I stop. And I was slowly catching up to y'all all the way up until last night. Y'all were on the second to last world, and I was starting at the honeybee world, I think, or somewhere right around there, or shortly
Yeah,
after
you
that.
were catching up quickly because
And
I'll
I
admit,
caught up
I'm
all the way up to y'all, all the way
yeah,
up. And then there was one moment where we were on the same level, and then y'all were like, "Oh shoot!" And then Steven, you were like, "Sonic, no, we can't let this man catch up." And I was like, "Bro, I'm on the same level as y'all, about to start it." I was like, "You know what? I got time." Like I was like, I'm like that one meme. What was that? That one meme was like, "Oh yeah, Mr. Incredible." Like, "Oh, I still got time." I literally went downstairs, had dinner and everything, eat some pizza and stuff like that. I was still tracking y'all's progress and stuff. And now I was like, all right, it's time to go ahead and catch back up again. And y'all, you already made it to the final boss at that point when King K rule. And I was still 2 levels behind that. I had to do the little racing through the oh gosh, the second to last level, the one with all the thorns and stuff. I hate that level.
God,
Ugh.
they really made like a crazy ass final level for that game.
No, that mess was
But,
rough. GBA
but
and Super Nintendo. Goodness.
I'll admit, I'm not. I'll admit, I kind of suck at DKC too. It is a hard game. So yeah, you definitely had more experience with the game than I did, Zard. Either way, though, yeah, damn, we still did take a lot of time on those damn levels. They were evil. They were evil levels though. Like Jesus, they were very long, very like difficult levels.
Yeah, so they were long, they were difficult, but that's just the nature of DKC 2. And then I finally get caught up to them, and they're still struggling on the King K rule boss. And I was like, dang,
Oh
it's been
yeah.
a hot minute since I fought this boss though. But I was like, all right, put up your dukes, King K rule. I still got your number. And for the life of me, I made it all the way up until the hardest part of the match. That being whenever he starts shooting out the colorful steam clouds, like one's like blue, one's red, and the last one being purple. Purple ones always got me. And I knew at that point I only had to get past that phase and this random teleporting sucking up, and that was it. I knew I was at the very end, and I had to re-challenge that part of the fight 10 to 12 times before I finally beat it. And then I beat the game before Steven and Sonic could ever do it. And they've been playing the game longer than I have. And I just found that funny. I was like, dang.
We got to the last hit multiple times, but he would just teleport right in front of Sonic and kick his ass.
Yeah,
It's a
no, because
hard
yeah,
fight. It's
yeah,
evil, is what it is.
that teleporting mess is rough though. But then it dawned on me at the last second. It's like, hey, run to the corner, like run to the far left side of the screen, right? Get over there as fast as possible, then start running right, and he will suck you up from the left hand side. Then run all the way to the far right, then run back to the left, and then he'll try to suck you up from the right. That's what I figured out. And the key is don't jump, stay your monkey tail on the ground. And once I did all of that, that was it. And then it was the last little bit. He drops the cannonball, you shoot it up in there. That's it. Just watch out for the last shot because if he hits you there and you have one life left, then you're dead still. Suck the die on the very last hit. And then boom,
Yeah.
King Donkey Kong was free, knocked the mess out of King K. Rool, and the dude fell all the way down to the swamp. And technically he goes to the Lost World though, but I never managed to unlock all of the lost level worlds where I got to re-challenge him. Ugh, that's a lot of work.
That fight's already hard. I can only imagine.
Oh yeah, no, it's rough. I don't know. I can't. No, I think I remember messing around with an actual replay back in the day to see if I could actually get down there and do some of those levels. I think I might have did a few of them.
You
I
know,
can't remember if I did all of
DKC
them, but yeah.
DKC2 is probably one of the most modern feeling SNES games. You know what I mean? Where it had that sort of like tight feeling difficulty that didn't feel unfair. Like DKC2 is a hard game, but it very rarely actually feels like unfair. Like it feels like, okay, that was hard. I gotta play it again and get better at it. It didn't feel like, oh, this is hard because the controls suck. This is hard because the game sucks. It felt like it was hard because, oh, I gotta play it more and I gotta get better.
Yeah.
And also, it's there's the levels. They just have so much variety. There's so much, the music is amazing. The visuals, so it's a very nice looking SNES game. There's a lot to like about DKC2, but oh my god, some of the levels are just a little too long for my tastes.
Oh yeah,
Just a
no,
little
they
bit.
were, they were. I ain't gonna lie on that part. That some of them are too long for their own good, and then some of them are like really amazing, but they feel kind of short. That's just the nature of DKC2. But for anybody that hasn't ever played any Donkey Kong game or specifically Donkey Kong Country 2, and you got a Nintendo Switch, you have NSO, or you're gonna soon to be a Nintendo Switch 2 owner, and you didn't never own the Switch 1 or whatever though, you need to play this game. You need to quit monkeying around and gosh dang play this game because this is like one of the best platformers of all time. I still stand on this. So now I can say I played the Super Nintendo version. I played the GBA version. I know people prefer the Super Nintendo one, but I still love the mess out of both of these versions respectfully though, and it's just great. I would say DKC2, Tropical Freeze, and both of the Ori games, like Will of the Wisp and what was it, Will of the Wisp and the Blind Forest. I say those are my overall top favorite platformers of all time. Point blank. Period. You can't go wrong with this game. Well, except for that
Mm-hmm.
stupid B boss, man. What the freak?
Well, the B
Anyway, though,
boss, and also most of the Bramble
I
levels,
think
and
his name was
also
King Zinger. King Zinger. Man, forget you, man. Straight punk. Dang.
it's just way too long. It's a fine boss. It just lasts way too long.
All right, but anyway, I that's literally all I've been playing. It's like mostly that, a little bit of Splatoon 3. That was it. I just wanted to give a little
I've
love for
been
some DKC2.
Yeah, I've been playing some Fortnite. They're doing like a new Star Wars season soon. That's about it. Honestly, they did an Adventure Time collab, which looks really funny.
Hmm.
That's quite literally it. I've just been playing Fortnite, watching YouTube. Like I haven't been playing a lot of games. I've just been watching stuff about games. I'll be honest. I just want the Switch 2 to fucking come out already. Honestly,
No, I hear you. I hear you on that one. All
like
righty.
oh my god.
All righty then. Well, that's gonna basically do it in terms of what we've been playing. So now we'll switch over to the last major topic point of the night. That being what's in the gaming news. All right. Unfortunately, these tariffs they ain't playing around. I don't know if it's part due to tariffs or it might be part due to something else though. But unfortunately, we got to talk about some bad news. And this is all, these next few topics, they're all so focused around the PlayStation now. But prices have gone up. Prices has gone up for these PlayStation 5 consoles. Now, back in my day, I remember when consoles used to go down over the span of a generation, not go up. Well, times are changing, I guess, apparently, though, because while it's not necessarily here in our US marketplace, it's just basically for like a whole bunch of other countries from around the world, though. But it seems like they're basically raising the price of a lot of PS5, like the digital editions of certain things, like in Europe, Australia, as well as New Zealand. So they're all kind of going up. Now, because all of these things are like in, different currencies, whether it be pounds, euros, or whatever, though, I can't say exactly how much it's gone up by, but it's a decent chunk of change to say the least, though. But man,
Yeah.
it.
No,
mm,
no matter what, the fact of the matter is it's going up, which shouldn't be happening in the first place. Even if
y-
it only went up $5, I'd be saying like, why?
Yeah, and it looks like it's mostly for just the digital only consoles, like the ones that include the disc drive. They're basically staying the same price, but a lot of those
That's
digital
weird.
edition PS5s they're going up. But the counterbalance this is kind of odd. A lot of those disc drives actually went down in price, so it's like, what kind of halfway meet you there in the middle, though? And I'm like, what? I was like, it's a little
I
weird.
don't get it. Is it
Like,
because they just anticipate more people buying? I guess they anticipate more people buying a digital version, and they just want to make, I guess they want to make less of the digital version.
no, they want to make more of the
Oh no,
digital,
they
less of
want
the.
yeah, they want to make
Well, I
more.
mean,
They want to
well, I
make
guess,
more, and they want to sell out of their disk drives. They want to
yeah.
it feels like they want to get rid of disk drive stock.
I mean, because
Like
technically the PS5s you're buying now, they're all digital systems. Like none of them
yeah,
is
they're all
integrated with that, disc drive in it
like
fully,
you
like
can
the,
still
like the
buy.
like the Model One PS5s that like what we have.
Well, yeah, but you can still buy a PS5 that comes with the disk drive already on it.
I mean, yeah, it's not like you're gonna walk into a retailer and still be able to buy that sucker. It's all in the secondhand market now. But yeah,
Yeah, I don't know. Like to be fair, like on if we're talking PS5, like having a disc, like having the disc is nice and all, but like for a lot of people, they don't care. Like it's perfectly fine for most casual gamers.
yeah, and I think that's what they're kind of leaning in on. Because remember, like PlayStation, the PS5 Pro, like that's an all digital console, and you have to go out of your way to get a disc drive to get most of that stuff to work with your physical games, though. So I don't know. It is what it is, but I do feel like a lot of and this is going to roll over to the Nintendo segment a little later on in the show, though. I do feel like a lot more people, you're just going to get used to this having games digital, because it's like I think we're starting to see the break and divide just a little bit more so between the digital versus physical, and
Which,
now we're yeah.
by the way, when we get to the Nintendo section, because we actually kind of had to skip it last time, we're gonna quickly talk about the prices, if you don't mind. We didn't talk about them last time.
No, yeah, no, yeah, we'll squeeze it up in there. We'll squeeze it
We'll
up in
squeeze
there.
it in.
But yeah, I
All
think
right.
that's pretty much it in terms of just the PS5 prices going up.
Yeah,
But another thing that gone up, PlayStation Plus stuff has gone up as well.
which
I was
this
like,
is going up everywhere, right? This isn't just Europe. Or am I wrong about that?
no, I think it's primarily so like for example, like PlayStation Plus price it increased in Canada. So like the 1 year plans is like 100 Canadian dollar, though. Like what the freak? $109.99 for like just essential and stuff, or
Yeah,
extra being 189.99, or premium being 224.99. I don't know
Canadian
much about the
dollars.
conversions about the Canadian stuff, though, but
Well,
having a
yeah,
Canadian premium for like 200 something bucks, that don't
I'm
sound right to me.
well, I don't know. I'm pretty sure the PS5 Pro is like 1,000 Canadian dollars. So considering their dollars, yeah, that sounds about right to me.
Good night. That's just wild, though. But regardless, like a lot of different areas were also hit with like that PlayStation Plus increase. Not really here in the States, though, but like once again, it's just kind of going up, though. And I'm like, dang, I'm still over here. I don't know how, Steven. I'm still looking at my PlayStation Plus, which I really don't use it a crap ton, but I use it occasionally. And I'm like, bruh, how in the world is Sony still saying, hey, because recently, like, I re upped my subscription in the month of actually this month, April, right? That's usually when my thing relapses and you have to go and update it. Normally, PlayStation Premium costs like 100 something bucks. Like, I want to say close to like 150 ish or something like that. Something higher than that, right? And premium, not premium, the essential tier, the cheapest one, used to cost 60 bucks, now it costs 80 bucks. That's how much the essential, the bare bones, like you get the monthly games, that's it. It's not even the extra tier, which I think that's where most of the value goes. They're still charging me the essential tier, 80 bucks a year, and giving me all the premium status of it though. And I'm like, dog, Sony, this is the second or third year in a row you giving me all the premium stuff for the price of essential, the cheapest one out of all three. I don't know how. I know I bought PlayStation Now like a month or two before
Yeah,
everything transferred over. Maybe that's part of the system. I don't know.
you
Maybe
got
I hacked
lucky.
this. I got lucky be able to get all of the premium stuff, which I can take advantage of some of that stuff with my PlayStation remote player, whatever that thing is called, because I can stream some of the games straight from the cloud service. I was able to
Yeah.
experiment around with that. But I don't know. I don't know how I'm pulling that mess off though. But I know a lot of other people, that's a lot of money to pay for some online stuff. I ain't gonna lie. Hmm.
Yeah,
But
I don't know, man. It's a lot of money for PlayStation fans, but I'm pretty sure PlayStation fans have the money. They already bought a PS5.
yeah, I don't know. Some people they're neck deep up in that ecosystem though. So I feel like it's either you got a little. I mean, you own the PS5 and you don't mess around because you don't play it online, or shoot, you had the PlayStation Plus and you're hunting all the trophies and you're doing the whole 9 yards with this mess though. So I don't know. I don't feel like there's like a lot of in between. It's either one extreme or the other though. But it sucks to see how all these subscription based services they just still keep going up though. It's like dang, can we ever stay still for like a good moment in time? Like, gosh, dang, I don't know. But yeah, that's all I gotta say about the PlayStation Plus stuff going up. And then the last thing I want to say in terms of PlayStation related news, which this is the one I'm stoked about. We managed to get a new trailer for Ghost of Yotei, and oh shoot, man, I'm ready for this game, Steven. I am freaking ready for this game. This is that one PlayStation game that's gonna come out in the year of 2025. I'll be there day one. I'll happily give Sony my 70 bucks to get this game though, because I've been really looking forward to this game when it was first announced. I think it was announced the first time for last year, basically, though. But yeah, they did manage to give us a new trailer and stuff. They did manage to confirm an actual release date for the game, though, because it is going to be coming out October 2nd. So we don't have to wait too long for that. And based upon the way how Nintendo Switch 2 games are coming out, I think this might hit in the perfect spot where I might be in the middle of a waiting game period between like a next major Switch 2 release or something like that. Hopefully that's the case because I want to spend like the whole month of October for the most part playing this game because it took me a good part of a month to beat Ghost of Tsushima originally on the PS5. And that was a great experience from start to finish. I still kind of want to go back and boot up that game, just kind of get back in the rhythm and flow of things to get myself ready for Ghost of Yotei though. And they did manage to give us like a little bit of details on Ghost of Yotei, like what you're able to do and some of the stuff. Because they did say like pre-orders for it. It comes out on May the 2nd. We know the game's gonna be 70 bucks. Um, you must hunt a group called the Yotei Six. So it's like a group that consists of the snake, the Oni, the Kitsune, the spider, the dragon, the Lord Saito. And you can hunt them in any order. So kind of think about like, like Breath of the Wild in your case, Steven, where it's like you're able to do any
Yeah,
one of those four major areas in any order you want. It seems like it's gonna be open in that style because Ghost of Tsushima was like very linear. Like it told you you need to do this and you needed to do this though, but you can do some side stuff or whatever though. So I'm wondering how that's gonna affect storytelling because I feel like that's the biggest flaw whenever you get to do anything in any order. It's like how do you keep that consistency the same with the story or whatever though. They say that they opened the world and it evolved a lot more than Ghost of Tsushima though. There's some activities that return from the previous game though, and a few other things though. And we do know that there's going to be a standard edition, there's going to be a deluxe edition. and there's gonna be a collector's edition for $250, which I'm like, I was already eyeing that thing. I'm like, I don't really need that, Steven. I don't really need that though. But this is one of the two Sony IPs, like right behind Spider-Man, where I was like, if I were gonna get a limited edition for it, it would be this. It ain't gonna be like a Horizon or a God of War or a Last of Us. I ain't doing it with none of them series though. Spider-Man's absolute yes. Ghost series, that I'm on the fence, Steven. I'm on the fence. But they didn't give us like an exact. Well, they say that the collector's edition. Well, somebody said the collector's edition is roughly 250, but then when I checked the actual blog, they said, "Oh, we'll give exact pricing later on." I'm like, "Oh man, if the tariff pricing starts to affect that mess, depending on where they manufacture some of those goods, then that will make my answer an automatic no, though. But we'll see though. But overall, this is some great stuff. Steven, you still have Ghost of Tsushima, don't you?
Yeah, I never played it. I think it's still
Oh
saved.
shoot, that's the game you need to play before the Switch 2 comes out, man. And I'm
Yeah,
telling you,
I
man,
know.
oh goodness, you're doing yourself a disservice, man. That's like one of the couple of games I'll say, hey, in terms of a first party, amazing experience for the PlayStation, that has it right there. Because you had the director's cut version, right? Like with all the DLC and stuff, or at least I
Say it
think
again.
you did. You had the director's cut edition, right, with all the DLC and stuff, right?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So, no, man, that's the one to play. That's the Steven, you got a one homework assignment from this pod. You gotta go as soon as this is done within the next 2 weeks and just play 2 hours. That's all I'm asking for, Steven. 2 hours of Ghost of Tsushima.
Maybe.
And I guarantee you, if you play the 2 hours, which that would basically be like the opening and starting of the game, and then you start running on that horse and you start rolling through those field of flowers and stuff like that, you're gonna be hooked on that mess, man. And that will blow you through like the whole month of May, and then before you know it, boom, you'll be in the month of June with the Switch 2.
Yeah.
But
I
regardless,
will. I might play it. I don't know. It really depends if I. Do you think I could beat the game in a month?
I beat the game in a month, so I think so.
I.
Especially, I did quite a bit of stuff up in there. I didn't do every little thing though, but I did quite a bit of stuff up in there though. But yeah, no, I'll highly recommend it. It'll make your time fly by really quick. Give you something to kind of look forward to, kind of throw you out of this gaming funk. I wish I had a game like that, but I don't really have one. But anyway, though, I'm really looking forward to this game. Don't have to wait too much longer. October is when the game comes, and you bet my bottom dollar I'll be there day one for this sucker because I'm ready for this mess, though. Alrighty though. Well, that does it in terms of all of the PlayStation news updates that I have for y'all today, though. So now we're gonna end the night off with a little bit of Nintendo news in traditional old fashion because we managed to get a new NSO game dropping out on the service, and yes, they hit us with a good one. Finally, a stinking good one, Steven. They gave me Fire Emblem Sacred Stones for the GBA.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Maybe.
heck yes.
Maybe this was afterwards, but I swear, me and you the other day off of the podcast were talking about how, like, if they wanted to, they could do almost every Fire Emblem game on Switch. Like, there's really nothing stopping them from doing a 3DS collection and getting every Fire Emblem game on Switch, right?
Yeah, I think we were talking about that at one point. I was just
Yeah,
saying
you
I
could
still feel
play.
like Genealogy of a Holy War would be coming next as the next
Yeah.
remake, and then they're just gonna work their way up from 4, 5, and 6.
Wait, what is 5?
5 is Thresher 776. That was never released Western, and then
Ah,
also Fire Emblem 6 is a GBA game. That was the one with Roy up in there. That was Binding Blade.
so we have that.
No, we don't have that. 4, 5, and
We
6
don't?
are the last Fire Emblem games we never managed to get localized here in the West. Technically
Wait,
Fire
so
Emblem 3 as well, but that's technically a
okay,
spin on one.
so which one is the one that we got that's called isn't the which one is just
No,
Fire Emblem
no,
over
the one
here?
that's just Fire Emblem, that's called Blazing Blade, which
Okay, so
that's
that's
Fire Emblem
7.
7. Yes, and that's already
Okay.
on the NSO. You can play that one
So
right now.
so we don't have Binding Blade. Binding Blade we never got. So
No.
we're waiting on Genealogy, Thracia, and Binding Blade, and then all of them
Yes.
are localized. I'm sure they'll
basically.
do them all. I'm sure they'll do them all eventually. But yeah, like from what I've heard, what Sacred Stones is which one? Number three?
No, Sacred Stones is number 8.
Oh, sorry, no, sorry, number eight. Sorry, yeah, it was on the
Yeah,
other end of it. Number eight, and this is right before Path of
Path of
Radiance, I
Radiance.
think.
Yep, right before
Yeah,
Path of Radiance, which
which you
we
know we
know
know Path of Radiance is
we're
coming.
gonna
Yeah,
get that one on the Switch too. So yeah,
but Radiant Dawn we don't fucking know. It's a Wii game, so
I
well,
feel like that one will come whenever they bring Wii. I think the
they'll
Wii to
probably
the
do Wii
NSO
eventually.
that will come on the Switch too. I feel like that. I feel like that's a given. And then whenever that happens, they'll probably give us Radiant Dawn too.
Yeah, them doing GameCube was already against what I expected from Nintendo. So yeah, I totally expect a Wii, especially with mouse controls.
But yeah, if y'all hadn't ever played this game, I highly recommend playing it. Probably want to play Fire Emblem 7 with Blazing Blade or the one that's just called Fire Emblem for us in the West. You might want to play that one first and then come around and play this one because there's some improvements done in the Sacred Stones, like having the world map, being able to move from level to level. Shoot, even being able once you get past a little bit of a tutorial area, like to be able to actually have that preparation time that you would normally be able to assess the map, be able to access your convoy, move around your items and stuff, your equipment and stuff, because like everything has like weapon durability. You can only use a weapon or a sword or whatever though, X amount of times before it breaks or whatever though. There's a lot of improvements made from Sacred Stones in comparison to Blazing Blade, which was literally the game before it. And a lot of things that is in this game that was introduced in this one we still see in the Fire Emblem series up until this day, though. So it's an overall outstanding game. I was just never able to manage to beat the game because I have the actual GBA cartridges. I have every Fire Emblem game that's been released in the West physically. Like I went through and collected all of them. I have every single one of them now, whether it be limited editions or just like some of these GBA games with the 7th and the 8th one in the series and stuff. But I was never able to fully beat this because like there was like one move. And look, I'm stubborn when it comes to Fire Emblem games, right? Like I want to try to have everybody live, no one die, and it's really tough with the games that happened before Awakening. That was that 3DS title, Steven, the first one, the
Yeah.
one that has Crom and Lucina up in it. But all the games prior to that, all of them have permadeath. There's no if and nor buts about it though. So it's like I don't want to miss out on those conversations, and those bugging the mess out of me to get halfway through a map and then someone dies. And it's not like you can rewind the clock like you can in Three Houses or Engage or something like that. So it's like whatever happened, it's like you just have to restart the map from the very beginning. It's like, oh heck no. But with this, with it being on NSO, you have the restore points. So you can literally save mid battle wherever you want, and you can readjust your strategy whatever way you should please or whatever. So that makes this game a little more attractive, especially for a little more casual fans or people that really struggle with RPGs, but they or strategy RPGs, should I say, but they want to get themselves into Fire Emblem. So that's just the way I recommend playing this game.
That's useful, yeah. It seems like a cool game, and obviously, what they just shadow dropped this, right?
I think they gave us a little bit of a head. Did they give us a little bit of heads up? I don't know because when they said that it's available now on NSO, I was freaking out. So I don't. I want to say they
Well,
gave us a
yeah,
heads up, but no, maybe they gave us
I
a
don't
heads
think
up like
so.
with the what was it? The like upcoming games, like when they had them scrolling or whatever though. Maybe we saw it at that point, but we just didn't know
Maybe.
when it could have got dropped. And I think they did shadow drop it. Like sometimes they'll say, "Oh, a game comes out in a week's time." No, I think they shadow dropped this mess, like what you said, because I couldn't remember them saying anything about this
Well,
game.
yeah, I don't know. I genuinely don't know if they did shadow drop, but that's kind of cool, I guess.
Mm,
Just GBA games definitely are. GBA games and GameCube games are when we started actually getting games with like proper lengths. Like some of those GBA and some of those GameCube games, they can actually last you like up to 10 hours.
yeah. So yeah,
Like
I
that.
would say I would say that this was probably the other game I was kind of going back and forth between that and DKC2. I guess I could say I was playing, but yeah. Ooh. Anything else that
Yeah.
you wanted to say on this one, Steven?
Kind of cool, I guess. I don't have much until I obviously play it one day.
Yeah. At some point, I just need you to sit down and play all these Fire Emblem games because that's some greatness you're missing out on, man. Some greatness. All right. Well, with that being said, that's basically it in terms of the NSO update that we had, at least within the past couple of weeks. But speaking of NSO, we managed to get some updates on that GameCube controller that's going to be available for the Nintendo Switch too. Because I was looking and eyeballing this thing because after all the pre-order stuff, which we'll talk about here in the very next topic, though, that GameCube controller is like one of the last things I needed to manage to like hunt down though. And we already knew it was probably going to be like one per customer and all of that stuff though. But we finally got some listings to go up on Nintendo's website, and we already figured out what the price of this controller is. It's coming in at $65. Hmm, 65. And I'm like, I was like, that seems kind of high, but not as high as what I was thinking. But then I started thinking, like, wait, what was the last controller we had? The N64 controller, that was only $50. I was like, dang. So we went up an extra $15 for,
Yeah,
I guess, these
which I
extra
don't know.
buttons. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a decent amount more than I expected, but like I don't know, everything went up, so just kind of got to roll with the punches. Like we're gonna talk about price of other stuff soon, but price is a big issue this generation.
Yeah. So that's the price for the controller. Now, in terms of when you want to actually be able to get these pre-orders, though, it's kind of contingent on whether or not you manage to get those invites for Nintendo to pre-order the Switch 2. Because if you get the invite to pre-order the Switch 2, apparently you'll get the same opportunity to be able to purchase the GameCube controller from May 8th to the May 12th. So you get like a little bit of a head start if Nintendo sends you that personal invite. However, if you miss the invite, you don't get accepted in that one. The controllers go up for pre-order for everybody else starting on May the 13th. So keep that in mind. 8 to 12, if if you manage to get the invite. I'm kind of hoping I did because I just wanted to get in there and get my GameCube controller because I know this sucker's going to sell out quick if the N64 controller wasn't a good indicator for anybody though. But then again, they didn't limit that one per account. I think they kind of left that open, so people were probably trying to get four of those things for everybody in the household or whatever though. But yeah, 13th for everybody else though. So you know good and well that's like the next and one last thing I gotta hunt down. And then I'll be fully good and content with everything Switch 2 that I needed to get though. But Steven, are you gonna get this controller?
The GameCube one is a maybe for me.
Maybe. Okay.
I don't know. It's either that or the Pro controller. I'm not getting both.
Hmm. Well,
Which
if it comes down between those two, then probably just get the Pro controller.
yeah, I don't know because I kind of want to get the Pro controller just because I had a Switch One Pro controller and it was a really nice build. Like I trust them to make some nice. I trust them to make some nice Pro controllers. They do a good job usually.
Yeah, and I heard good things about the Switch 2 Pro controller though. So
Yeah,
yeah.
from the couple things I heard, it seems like a good controller.
Yeah, I don't know. At least whenever I mean, at this point with my classic NSO games, everything from the NES, Super Nintendo, 64, now what will be GameCube, I own all the other controllers at this point though. So I'm like, shoot, I might as well go ahead and get this one though. It'd just be nice just to have a good rechargeable one. It just works naturally with the Switch 2. So I don't really feel like I'm missing out on anything or anything like that. And two, it has the built-in C button too, because I guess it's gonna use the game chat feature and stuff like that though. So that'll be
Yeah,
really cool. And then anybody else that wants to use GameCube controllers, at least in my household, they can do it because I had the GameCube adapter thing, so I could plug it in the dock and stuff. They'll just have wire controllers, but I'll be the one rocking the wireless one, the one that would be truly wireless, had the nice form factor of the original GameCube controller, but not the fat, clunky design of the Waybird, but it's still wireless. So that's why I'm really looking forward to that one, though. So I'm gonna get it as long as it doesn't sell out, but that's my plan. All righty, Steven. Well, that does it in terms of the GameCube controller stuff, though. So if you wanting it, you got your heads up. Now you know what day to kind of keep your eyes peeled though. Now, last we got to talk about anything and anything else Switch 2 related. First, starting off with gosh dang Switch 2 pre-orders, man. Like, what the freak was that, man? Oh shoot! Look, I didn't even think I was gonna get a video out on my channel this week. I thought this whole entire week was gonna be an off week though. But after going through the crazy commotion and stuff on that night of, I was like, No, I gotta talk about this in a video. Like I gotta have this thing recorded just so I can go back and look at this mess in the future though. Just have it documented somewhere. Cause that mess was pure pandemonium.
Yeah. I know you made a whole video about it, so we can't go into too many details. Like we can just say watch that video, but I'll just say that like it was definitely a fun experience, if not a little stressful,
You said a
constantly
fun
refreshing.
experience?
Well, I don't know. For me, like especially, I can look back on it positively because we all got one. Like I feel bad for the people that didn't, but I got mine at Target and I got mine canceled at Walmart, which kind of pissed me off. But then I got another one at Best Buy anyways that I'm gonna pick up on release day, so it's not that big of a deal. Like I could be in a it could be so much worse.
I don't know. I just feel bad for all the people that literally spent all that time up in there and didn't manage to get it though. Because just to kind of short synopsis real quick, because I do have a video on my channel that goes into like quite an extensive details though. What was it? Walmart was the first one to try to open it up, and they had the waiting queues 2 minutes early. And our good buddy Kyle, like he was already in line with that one. Target was a crap show because they always try to make you re-enter in the address and stuff, and then say, "Oh, confirm shipping details." It'll be in your cart one moment, and then they take it out the next moment. Whoever got in the Target and managed to get it out with a system, though, man, you were a wizard. Because like Sonic, you somehow managed to do that mess, dual wielding phones
Yeah, I don't get how
at
he did
work
that.
in less than 15 minutes. That was some
Yeah.
wizardry he was pulling off. Like what the freak?
All I all I am glad about is that I got the Best Buy one because they were, fucking what was it? Not Target. Yeah, Target. Yeah, Target was trying to cheat me out by saying they were gonna deliver it a week later, and I'm like, no, no, you are not.
Huh. Yeah, because I think
That
it's
pissed
like
me off.
no, Best Buy was gonna do the best in terms of like, where you're gonna have the midnight launch. And then GameStop for those that managed to go in store to get their pre-orders, which you ain't gonna catch me set a foot inside of a GameStop. Man, forget them punks though. But GameStop's website, if you were trying to do that the next day, that mess crashed like hard. Like we're talking about crash so hard, not where it just kind of brings a little spinning symbol, but it brings up the bad gateway connection thing. Like it crashed that hard. I was like, holy shoot. But as long as you were doing it in person, it was all right for the most part, as long as you didn't have no managers or trying to force you to buy a bundle or anything like that. That was just kind of weird though. But yeah, like what Steven said, we all managed to get a pre-order, so we were all feeling pretty good about ourselves, except for one of my buddies I know from college. He didn't manage to get a pre-order, so I was like, oh no. I was like, dang. And then I think he started to catch on to the FOMO a little bit more though, because at first I was kind of going back and forth with him. He wasn't so cracked up about the price on everything. Not so much for the console, but like, some with the games, combination of different things though. Somehow he managed to come around 360 and say, look here. He's like, I saw you got it. He's like, man, I really want one now. And I'm like, oh shoot, now you're gonna tell me to do this. And he's like, no, I tried at Walmart, Target, Best Buy, same night that I was trying to do it. And he's like, he didn't have no success with them, didn't have success with GameStop the next day. He's like, man, I might need you to help you out. And I was like, you know what? I got you, bro. It was Saturday morning at like 7:45 ish in the morning, right before I was about to go to work. And somebody tweeted out something about, oh, Walmart has the pre-orders for the Switch 2 going up. And I was like,
Yeah.
nah, they ain't no way. I whipped up that phone so fast trying to wipe the crust and stuff out of my eyes and stuff. And lo and behold, yeah, it took me a minute of just like refreshing and retapping the pre-order button, but I managed to get one. I was like, whoa.
You got it for him.
Yeah, so I managed to get a second one, and the second one's gonna be for him. That one was the Mario Kart
Nice.
bundle because that was the one that he wanted. So I got one just a standard edition without Mario Kart because I got Mario Kart physically. And then for him, I got him the one with the bundle or something like that. So he'll swing by probably by the end of that month because he lives a little further away from me though. But he's gonna try to time it up probably like what the last week of June or something like that. So he can swing up here, visit his family and stuff, and then I'll give him that console and stuff. He'll just pay me back and stuff though. But Yeah, it's gonna be really cool. So technically, I'll probably do an unboxing video for it because what Best Buy I might do the midnight launch and pick it up, and the Walmart one for him when it comes in, it's gonna be that should be that 9 a.m. delivery time. So I'm probably gonna record a unboxing video. I'll unbox mine, but I can show his right next to mine in the little video comparison thing. I was like, this is what looks like they had two Switch 2s. Oh man. But anyway, though, I was just glad I was able to get that for him though. So help a brother out though.
Yeah, no, it's definitely nice that most of our friend group got one. And it seemed like a lot of people that wanted it got it. Like a lot of the people that were refreshing constantly eventually got to the front of the line. Which by the way, GameStop definitely handled this the best with their in-person stuff from what
Yeah,
I heard.
the online was a crap show, but in person it was fine because you only have to fight the people there locally with you.
Yeah. And it seemed like they, for listen, I know a couple people were complaining that big areas like New York City didn't get enough, but a lot of small areas were getting substantial amounts. Like a local GameStop close to me got like 60 altogether, like regular Switch 2s and Mario Kart bundles. It came out to about 60 units total. Which 60 units. I know I live in New York and it's big and all that, but 60 different units of a Switch 2 for like a small area is a decent amount considering there's not a lot of people in my area that are jumping to get a Switch 2 at launch.
Yeah. And I think from everything I've seen with the GameStop in person pre orders, it looked like in terms of like the distribution of not physical. In terms of the distribution between the standard Switch 2s, the 450 SKU, and the Switch 2s that had Mario Kart World bundled with it, so the $500 SKU, I will want to say that it's like a third of the allocation is dedicated towards the just the Switch 2, and like two-thirds of the stock is about dedicated towards the Mario Kart bundle thing up in there. Because I felt like, yeah, a lot more people were going to buy the Mario Kart one because it's like, look, if you're playing a Nintendo console for the first parties, ain't no way you're picking up the system and not buying it unless you just advocately hate Mario Kart. Which there's a few people out there that probably do. Nothing against you though, but for most people, they're gonna have that as like their day one game.
Yeah. Like most people are just getting the Mario Kart bundle, which is what Nintendo wants, by the way. Nintendo like is actively trying to hide that the game is $80, which tell me when you're ready cuz I kind of want to go on a bit of a price rant.
All righty. Well, I think that's it for the pre-order stuff. And like we said, if you want all my extensive thoughts, there's a video on the channel. You can go ahead and check it out though. But we'll go ahead and swing it over here. Now we're kind of in no man's territory. We can kind of cover over some stuff that we missed on the previous podcast episode and anything else we just want to kind of give our thoughts on Switch 2, anything that's been kind of floating around or anything like that. Which one of the things we did miss out on was the whole Switch 2 pricing, which now pre-orders gone up. We know how everything is priced now. We figured out that some of the accessories and hardware has gone up, but not like hardware of the Switch 2 units. That stayed the same. But I know, Steven, you want to go on your rant, so I'll go ahead and let
All
loose of
right,
the reins and let you go at it.
cool. Nintendo is being way too fucking greedy this generation.
Whoa,
Like
ho, ho,
I'm
ho, 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 ho. I said let go on
what?
the reins. I didn't say for you to just to go ahead and slew him,
All right,
man. I'm like, come on now. No, I'm just kidding. Go
listen.
ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
Nintendo deserves this. Nintendo is being way too full of themselves this generation with their pricing. The system is fine. I don't have a problem with 450 for the system and 500 for the Mario Kart bundle because like whatever. Like, it's got a lot of hardware built into it. It's actually a stronger console than what I expected from Nintendo with 4K output and all that. And it's fully portable. So, fine. 450 is fine. But these game prices and these accessory prices are way too much, and they have not been communicating correctly with their fan base. Number one, all of the misinformation going around that there's $90 games, and Nintendo hasn't gone and corrected it because they don't even want to let their fan base know that there's $80 games. There's a reason why both in the Mario Kart Direct, which we're not even going to talk about the Mario Kart Direct
Oh
because there's
gosh, I knew
nothing.
I forgot something on this stupid list. The
No
stupid
one
Mario
cares.
Kart Direct.
There's nothing. But in that Mario Kart Direct, they don't mention price. They're like, oh, visit remember in the Switch 2 Direct and in this, they're like, visit the website to see further details. because they're just so scared to show a price. They don't want to show the price in these videos. They want to show off the console, and then once people are already on the pre-order page, they're lambasted with the price and are like FOMO'd into buying it, which is definitely Nintendo's plan. Is they want people to just kind of look over the price and not worry about the price and still buy it. Which I'm gonna buy a Switch too, but god damn it, man, it would be nice if Nintendo just kind of was a little more consumer friendly this generation. Like game prices. Mario Kart World looks like a great game. It does not look like an $80 game. What about this game makes it worth that extra $10 compared to something like Donkey Kong Bonanza, which we know is going to be a
I'll tell you
$70
why. I'll
game?
tell you why,
What's
Steven.
what? What?
I'll tell you exactly what Nintendo's thinking right now. It's because, and I've been saying this the longest time on the podcast, for better or for worse, for Kawa, that man's a businessman. All right.
I don't
I've
care.
been. Hold on, Steven. This is my little rant right here. I got to give you from the. I got to play the devil's advocate over here. We can't have it
There's
all one way and go the other way though.
there-
No, because literally, this is the way how Nintendo's viewing this mess though. We got to look at both sides from the angle, just to build up an argument's sake though. Because literally, for Kawa over here looking at everybody and their mama and say, you know what, all y'all jokers over here that had a Switch One, and mind y'all, remember how they gave a previous fiscal report and they said out of the 150-ish million people that bought a Switch One, 130 of them are still active. And we know the ratio Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. It's roughly about 45% of all Switch One users own that game. If by golly, if you know that you could sell that many, and if you combine the sales between the Wii U and the Switch Ones, you selling in like almost the top 5, top 10 games of all time. Obviously, a few slots lower than like what you were place yourself with like a Minecraft game or whatever though.
uh,
And you know you can sell that much, and know you probably can get away with it, and you're releasing this thing on the day of
uh,
launch. So there's no other first party game that you're gonna get, and you can sweeten the deal with a
uh, but
$50 MSRP when you tie that sucker together with the Switch 2. He knows he can get away with some stuff. That's
first of
the
all,
mindset that they're going in with
first
this thing.
first of all, your rant is done. Second of all, I know Furukawa is a businessman, but that does not make this any better for us. Like, I don't know. Sucking off Nintendo is not gonna make them treat us any better. The only way they're gonna treat us better as consumers is by saying something about it. Like, literally just accepting it and moving on is what they want. I can buy the game and still say that I don't think it's worth that price tag. I can still do both. Which, yes, Mario Kart World, from everything I've seen, does not do anything substantial enough to guarantee like, to be worth $80. Yes, it is a nice looking game. It does not have enough content to justify $80. It certainly doesn't have a big new gameplay feature that justifies $80. The free roam seems cool, but it's not like the biggest feature. It's not it's not like a feature I'm going to be spending all my time in. It's really nothing. It's just practice mode basically. I don't care much about free roam mode in the grand scheme of things. I'll play it, but still. Mario Kart does not have that big hook that I can see actually being worth $80. Donkey Kong is 70, which is a lot more appealing because whatever, like 70 is the new standard price of games. Fine. Like I'll deal with that because Donkey Kong looks good and it's gonna be like the next Mario Odyssey, and I'm gonna buy that game because I'm excited for it. But Nintendo over here is trying to argue that they're doing quote unquote variable pricing this generation, is what Doug
Now,
Bowser said. Which
here's another thing. Now that you brought up variable price ranging, for us, and this is an interesting note that I found out about. For us here in
yeah,
America, and I think also in Europe, variable price ranging, we hadn't seen that sucker since like what the Super Nintendo days. Like remember how some games were like worth
yeah.
more than others
Uh,
and stuff like that.
okay,
But for the longest time, for like the Wii U, and obviously the Switch, it's been standard. Nintendo games typically cost about $60. Every now and then they'll throw you a $50 game with like what Mario versus Donkey Kong or whatever though, and then
yeah.
occasionally you might get a budget game that's a $40 game like a Metroid Prime remaster or whatever though. That's the way it's been, at least in our Western markets, for quite some time. However, in Japan, it's always been variable
Okay,
price
Well,
range
guess
and
what?
stuff like that. So it's interesting because the Japanese market, they see this and it's like nothing has changed for us. It's
Zard,
just
I'm
they're
just gonna
just
say
moving that
this,
mess over to the West. I just want to throw it out there. It's just
and
kind of interesting.
I'm gonna tell you that you got to stop defending this bullshit,
I'm
and
not.
that
I'm not saying I'm defending it. I'm just saying I'm
that's
just throwing
quite
out
literally what you.
I'm throwing out
What
every
I
angle
and
because
I'm tr- that
some people.
okay.
Hey, it's
Yeah, you're
interesting.
throwing devil's
No, no.
advocate. Why would you be throwing out devil's
I'm
advocate
just
unless
keeping
you agree
people
with it?
informed. I'm keeping people.
Okay,
It's not like
then
I agree that I think that Mario
okay,
Kart 8
well then
World
say
should
it.
cost 80
All right,
bucks.
say
No,
it.
because I
So
wish it was $70. It means I don't have to
okay.
pay as much.
Well, no,
Anybody would
all
say
right.
that
Well,
answer.
well then just to satisfy me here. Do you think the game is worth $80? I just want a
No, I
clear
no,
answer out of you.
I was like, I can still get my value out of it though, but I still could have saw this game being $70 and I would have been happy
I could
with
have
it.
seen it being fucking 60. Fine.
That's what I
Well, I
thought it
got
was gonna
my
be because Donkey Kong, I shoot, I paid $80 for Donkey Kong. It's
yeah.
been
Well,
that long.
listen. But there, you answered my point. Mario Kart is a big launch title, but like, come on, Breath of the Wild, they charge 60 for. Tears of the Kingdom, they charge 70 for. But even then, like Tears of the Kingdom is a giant game. People spent like a whole month playing Tears of the Kingdom. Mario Kart is Mario Kart. Yeah, I know everyone's gonna buy it anyways. Don't you think you'd want to make the game that people are buying like standard price? Like if that's the game everyone is gonna buy, you'd think you'd want that game to kind of reflect the price of every other game.
You know why they put that
Which
mug at
and
80?
and this is yeah, what?
I feel like once they put that mug at 80, they won't feel nearly as bad as whenever they put it quote unquote on sale. So that
I
80
I
drops
guess, but
down to
like
60 and then they're gonna
that's
raise it
what I'm
right back up to
saying.
80. I think that's
It
what they're
sucks.
thinking of.
Like the game will be 60 on sale, which is a fucking crime, honestly. And the worst part about variable pricings are quite literally the worst part is that, games that used to be $40 are now going to be $60. Compared to because Mario Kart is now considered quote unquote the high end. What used to be 70 on Switch 1 is now 80 on Switch 2. So what used to be $60 is now $70. What used to be a $50 game, yeah, aka WarioWare, Mario versus Donkey Kong, what used to be a $50 game is now going to be a $60 game. And now games that used to be $30 and $40 are now going to be $40 and $50, which is a crime. They're going to be selling us a Drag and Drive for $50 probably.
Yeah, so I guess because of the
And like
oh, go ahead.
oh yeah, and I was gonna say I know that in Japan they do variable pricing, but another thing they probably do in Japan is fair wages for their employees. I'd hope in the U.S. like employees get paid very similar to what they got paid however many years ago. Like, so no, like this is a genuinely just worse situation for the US compared to Japan because US employees most of the time are making the exact same thing they've always been making. While the price of food is also going up, the price of living in general is just going up, and now
Yeah.
gaming's also going up. This is going to generally just lead to less people are going to be able to justify buying a console like this.
And the last thing I kind of wanted to say on variable price ranging is despite how how expensive the highs could be, it does give a lot of flexibility in terms of like what we'll see a lot of these game prices be. Obviously, you got everything from the high end, which Mario Kart World. I don't see too many games releasing at the $80 tier, but if I had to throw a few other ones out there, it'd be the next 3D Mario, 3D Zelda, and like a Smash Bros or
No, I
whatever.
don't
Though,
want
I f-
fucking I
no,
don't
I
want
say
3D Mario. If
I'm
Donkey
just
Kong
saying it.
Bonanza is gonna be 70, there's no reason for 3D Mario to be 80.
No, no, 3D Mario would be 80 because shoot, we know how well that sucker
Let's
has
not.
sold, and
Alright,
Mario's brand appeal or whatever. But anyway, I digress. That wasn't the
let's
point I
not
was trying to make.
predict.
But anyway, but then you also have games that will be in that 70 tier, like a Donkey Kong Bonanza. You also have stuff like
Okay,
Cyberpunk and stuff. You do have $60 games that will be like Street Fighter 6 and stuff like that. You also will have like $50
it's
games
funny
that
you
have
say
like that
that.
AI Insomnia files and stuff. And
It's
then you get
funny you say that. I think Street Fighter's $40. I'm pretty
no,
sure.
no, it's $60. I'm
Or
looking on
it's
Best Buy
60?
right now.
Oh,
It's
you see,
60, but it's the
I
year
swore
one
that
and
it was
two
cheaper.
editions. It has a
Yeah,
little bit
okay,
of
that yeah.
DLC.
Yeah, it has all the DLC, which makes it like a decent deal.
Yeah, and then you
I
got
know
like the
there.
insult. Oh, go.
Oh, I was just gonna say that, like, I know that there are some games that are actually priced normally on this thing, though. It's just Nintendo really that's being greedy. Which, by the way, I'm gonna keep going here for a little bit. I'm almost done. Trust me. Switch 2 editions. By the way, I don't care if they're upgrading the games. We already paid full price, and now they're fixing them, and we still have to pay more. Pokemon Legends ZA is a game that hasn't even released yet. They should just be giving us the upgrade for free for buying their new console. Which maybe we will get it for free with NSO, but that's not the point. The point is that Pokemon games generally run pretty bad, and us the consumers are gonna have to pay to fix their mistake. And then Metroid Prime is Metroid Prime is, it's gonna add like the mouse mode. It's gonna add 120 FPS and all that. But like, I don't know, $20 just seems a little steep for graphical upgrades.
Well, no, I
Most
mean for Metroid
I
Prime,
don't
I imagine that's only gonna be a $10. That's not gonna be a 20. 20
what
is like
that's
when you start adding in
no
DLC
10.
and
I
stuff.
still I still think $10 is a little much in that case. I still think $10 extra for simple performance upgrades, especially when we know the Switch One version is still gonna be like 60 FPS and all that. It just feels a little weird. I don't know. Breath of the
I don't
Wild
know.
and Tears.
I mean we seen that same pricing structure for PlayStation though,
Uh,
and I don't
I
see a
guess.
lot of people crying
Breath
over when they were doing that mess.
Well, yeah, well, that's because we're not PlayStation fans, and also PlayStation fans will fucking suck any slop they can get. They like I don't care about PlayStation fans in this metric. Okay, PlayStation fans buy The Last of Us fucking 15 times over and clap like seals every time. I Yeah, quite literally. Back to what I was saying though. Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, they make a little bit more sense being upgrades because of the intense size of those games. Like, I could guarantee that Nintendo probably had to go in and do a lot to those games on the back end. So whatever. If we're talking purely about the amount of effort put into these, fine. Even if we're going to talk about the $20 upgrades are basically the $10 upgrade paired with a DLC pack. That's how they're doing. They're basically they're selling us DLC that's exclusive to Switch 2, and they're just calling these Switch 2 editions. Both Metroid Prime, oh, I'm sorry, not Metroid. Both Mario Party Jamboree and Kirby and the Forgotten Land are getting DLC like expansions coupled with the Switch 2 edition. Which personally, I don't have a problem with these. Because like $20 is what we would probably be paying for these updates anyways, and we get the performance updates. At least for Mario Party, it looks like we're gonna get a lot of cool gimmicky mini games if you have the camera, which a lot of people are not gonna care about this, but I don't know. It's Mario Party. Mario Party's mostly meant to just have fun. So if you want to have more fun with Mario Party, buy this pack. If you don't, then you don't. Mario Party already ran at 60 FPS 1080, so I don't really care. It's gonna run at 1440, but like that's not enough incentive for me to get it right away. Kirby in the Forgotten Land, on the other hand, is a 30 FPS game that is gonna be running at, from what we've seen, a solid, smooth 60 FPS, 1440p. So yes, I am immediately buying Kirby in the Forgotten Lands DLC because I love that game and I will play through it again with higher quality and basically a new game plus.
So it seems to me you're just simping for Kirby over here, and then everything is
No,
fine and dandy now. That's
no,
what you're trying to tell me over here.
my
No, no, no,
problem,
no. I don't want to hear it because you were so sweet when
sorry,
it came to Kirby, but everything
no,
else you going on that big rant. No, I'm just kicking up dust.
no, my problem necessarily is them doing these physical editions. They're selling these physical editions for like $80, and I just feel like that's way too much. Like, I don't know. I feel like the upgrade packs being 20, fine. Like, we already bought the game and we have to upgrade it. You know, no one's gonna pay $80 for a Kirby game when they see it in stores. And also the box art looks terrible. Like they have to have, so much space on the box art is taken up by the disclaimer on the bottom for half of these.
Oh, yeah.
And
I was about to say some of the box art looks better in person, but I
yeah,
don't know about with the text on the bottom,
and
but
just
yeah.
and then there's also just some weird quirks like which this one really pisses me off. Breath of the Wild Switch 2 edition does not include the DLC. So you have to buy the $20 expansion pass after you already bought your $70 Switch 2 edition, which is bullshit, honestly, for people that don't already own it. You basically are paying $90 for an enhanced version of a $60 game from 8 years ago now, and on any
I
other
mean,
console.
I
On
mean, if you
any other
hadn't,
console, this would be like a free upgrade,
well,
or
yeah,
on
I would say that it'll be in the form of like a director's cut. To be honest, that's probably
yeah,
what usually what
like
happen. Yeah.
it would be justified because let's just if this was any other console, it would have been a $60 game because Breath of the Wild would have already been undercut to $40. For any other console, it would have been decreased already. I don't know. Nintendo's being bullshit. And then you got the whole game key cards thing. Which
Oh,
listen,
whoa,
when I
whoa, whoa,
first
whoa, hold. We're
no,
gonna rewind it. No, we got to rewind it a little bit because you cut
fine,
me
what?
off before I could finish my statement, and then I wanted to
What?
leave my statement into the game key card. So let's rewind it just a
Fine, fine. What were
little
you gonna
bit.
say?
So
What were you
remember
gonna
how I
say?
was going through all the different games and the stuff that was costing and stuff like I got all the way down to the $50 ones. So there was like
Yeah.
the no sleep for consuming basically the AI insomnia files. Like you have games like that, Yakuza Zero at the $50 price point, and then you have Bravely Default Flying Fairy at the $40 price point though. So I was like, okay, it seems like third parties can take a pretty good advantage of it. And then you got your indie games, and that can range anything from like $30 and down lower though. So it's gonna be interesting seeing all this variable pricing. Third parties can really take good advantage of it because then that can make their games seem a little bit more appealing to Switch owners that usually only will buy first party games though, but typically they can buy third party stuff. But as I was scrolling through this list, Steven, and I was looking at all these third party games and stuff, a lot of these you can still pre order and stuff. But I'm looking at Best Buy, and lo and behold, I look over here, I'm like, wait a gosh dang minute. The Bravely Default Flying Fairy game, that's a game key card, right? That sucker sold out on Best Buy. I'm like, huh?
It's a
So that
3DS game. It's so fucking bad.
I I'm just saying though, a game key card already selling out. I'm just saying though, and that led me down into the next thing I wanted to talk about, which is probably the last thing we were going to talk about for tonight. It's the whole game key card situation though, because it seems like there was like that one graphic that's been floating around on the internet where it's like a lot of these games, if you look at the Japan side of the region, it seems like most of these games were going to be game key cards. Basically, it's like the code in the box, but it's upgraded to where now you stick the Switch cartridge, Switch 2 cartridge into your Nintendo Switch 2. It holds the server,
Oh,
says basically it's the license key for you to be able to play it. So it lets you download it from the servers. And as long as that game key card is in your Switch 2, then you're able to play the game once it's downloaded on your actual Switch 2. So in theory, it doesn't sound like necessarily a really bad idea. However, it's more so about the longevity of it for like some people that's just been diehard physical collectors. Like they want everything on the cartridge. Because yes, while it may work for the time being though, you just have to think some point in the distant future, probably 15 to 20 years from now, there could be a chance a server could go down and then at that point, that piece of plastic that you stick up in your Switch is not really going to be worth anything. Yes, it does give you a little bit of flexibility for you to be able to sell that cartridge, and it's basically like a good way to be able to sell a digital game because you don't have access to doing that with a standard digital game, though. But I don't know. It's a little bit of take and give with this thing, though. But the one thing that kind of brings into question is if a lot of these third party companies don't decide to put all the game on the cartridge, and we have to do more things like with a game key card, which is kind of similar to like what PlayStation and Xbox does with like their disc games, more so PlayStation than Xbox at this point because everybody has Game Pass. But I digress. When you stick that disc into like your PS5, it's not like you're playing straight off the disc. You have to technically download it onto the console. These game key cards almost had the same effect up on there though. So that
oh,
256 gigabytes you have on your Switch 2, that can blow up real quick. That's all I gotta say.
yeah, well, the only issue with game key cards is that developers are just using this as an excuse to be lazy. And come on, even you must admit that Bravely
Well, I
Default
want. Well, hold on.
should not be on a game key
I
card.
think there's a difference between lazy and being cheap. That's two different things. I think it's more
They
so on
are
the
the
lines of.
same thing when
I
we're
think no,
referring
no,
to
no,
a
no.
company.
No.
When we're
I think it's more so on the side of being cheap because they could put it on the cartridge. It's not like it's impossible for them to do it. It's more like the money is speaking for them to say let's go ahead and do the game key card. I think there's a
Uh,
difference between the
well,
two.
guess what? That's Nintendo's fault for making this option. Like, Nintendo literally only did this so they can get more games on Switch. But like, think, people could have just bought them digitally. The problem is that they want to have these boxes on store shelves, but the companies don't want to do physical games. So instead of doing a code in a box, which by the way, a code in a box is the better idea, but no, they want to do these game key cards so, Nintendo can have control over your digital purchases. Like instead of you buying a code in a box and then that code is connected to your account at all times. Let's just say, think of it like this, Zard. Imagine if you get a game key card for Street Fighter and then you lose your cartridge. Like it's like a regular game. You're fucked. It has all the advantages and disadvantages of a regular game. Like you lose that game key card, you can no longer play that game that you downloaded. You are screwed. If you
I
bought a
mean,
code
yeah,
in a
it's
box, you'd be fine. Like yes, I know you can trade in and sell these game key cards, or you could lend them to a friend. But the fact of the matter is, like, who's gonna want to buy a game that will just be unavailable in a couple years? Because I guarantee that. Oh yeah, another
well,
thing I
I
was
wouldn't say
thinking
a
about.
couple of years, but
What
say
happens?
a decade
What
or so.
what happens if one of these games gets delisted off the eShop and you have the game key card?
No, the game key card, they have to honor that mess in the system. Kind of like how whenever you buy a game digitally,
No,
and it
no
know and
telling
it
yet.
knows and it knows that yes, you technically have access to it, so you should be able to re-download it. They ought to know with the contracts when you put something out there like that, that hey, is with that license code, whatever that serial number
Listen,
is attached with it, you still got to be able to download that game. Now,
you
granted,
say
if
that,
they
but
they'll just take it off the shelves for anybody else to buy new ones in the future, but no, that has to be a thing because if it were, we'll have to revisit this topic, and
we'll see.
that'd be a lot of fuel on the flames with a fire and a windstorm and a
That's what I'm
tornado and
saying.
everything else. Because
I
they
just think,
shouldn't be able to do that, but
yeah,
we'll
I
cross
just
that
think,
bridge when we get there.
call it cheap, call it lazy. These game companies are just being stupid. Bravely Default can definitely fit on a cartridge. They just don't want to. Cyberpunk is being put on a cartridge. What excuse does any other game have? Yes, I
Now,
know
I think
I don't know, I know
okay,
Cyberpunk's $70, but Cyberpunk's a big game. Like whatever.
I think the only reason why they wouldn't put it on there, in which this is a developing story, like we still don't know all the details for it though. But with a 64 gigabyte cartridge, it's honestly coming down to the prices of those cartridges. Granted, yes, like what you said, Cyberpunk 2077, that's a $70 game, so they're making a little bit more out of it or whatever though. But you got to think as a third party company, you got to pay that 30% gratuity to Nintendo to even put your game on there. Then you got to turn around and like buy the expensive cartridge or whatever though to be able to put your game up on there though. And I think at that point we don't know what all the current file sizes are for Switch 2 cartridges. We just know that there's a 64 gigabyte one. There's a game key card that's probably less than 5 gigs
Yeah.
or something like that. We don't really know if there's a lot of a middle ground area though. So until the launch day actually occurs, when somebody like a Spawn Wave or whatever though is able to bust open a Mario Kart World cartridge and see, is it technically some kind of middle storage size, like a 32 gigabyte cartridge, or is Nintendo actually shelling out the money to throw that game is like what 20 something gigabytes, and if they're putting that mess on a 64 gigabyte card, we don't know what the range of these cartridges are because the higher storage you have up on there, the more expensive the game. Hence why you'll see developers leaning on the game key
Uh,
cards, even though that was way easy impossible for even Switch One cards. That's what it comes down to, and
all
we
I'm gonna
just don't
say,
have all the answers right now.
I'm hoping a lot of these companies see this backlash and decide they need to start putting the games on the cartridge.
And
Because, like, I don't know,
that's where voting with
Nintendo,
your wallet work comes into play.
yeah, I know. Nintendo has proven that they're gonna do more. Like Mario Kart's 24 gigabytes, that's gonna be on the cart. Donkey Kong's 10 gigabytes, that's gonna probably be on like a 16 gigabyte cart. Like Nintendo's own games will be on the cartridge. I'm pretty sure. And yes, there was a lot of confusion about this, but the Switch 2 editions will be the entirety of the game on the cart. Like the Switch game and the Switch 2 upgrade pack are all one game on the cartridge. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Now,
Which
yeah,
there was a lot of confusion. A lot of people thought that it was just going to be a download code for the upgrade pack, But from what we know, it is a Switch 2 cartridge that includes everything, which is fine. You know, physical preservation for these is nice and all. Like, I'm glad they're doing physical editions for the Switch 2 editions, but like, still, the box art's fucking bad. It's not a big deal, but yeah. Not to be, let's end with the negativity. Like, the prices are, in my opinion, very anti-consumer, and a lot of people are just not going to be able to afford a Switch 2. There's going to be a lot of people that are just not going to be able to do it. But besides that, Nintendo, with a few bumps in the road, is still looking to make, you know a lot of money this year, and
Yeah,
hopefully they'll realize that from the very very vocal complaints that they do need to make some adjustments.
yeah.
I don't know, maybe.
And it's always something because it's like, well, we can be loud on the internet or whatever though, but at the same point, like the people that probably care about it the most, like what are our kind of people, the people that are plugged in and all of this stuff though, we make a I mean, a very small percentage of what Nintendo really makes at the end of the day. Because it's always about that casual market that's really making the most numbers out of it. We can yell at the clouds all day long, but if because there's people out there that love their physical games, they want all of the games and stuff to be up on the cartridge, though. I'm just more concerned about how does the casual gamer care? Do they care that you have to actually download the game? Because some of these Nintendo people out there, they're not necessarily used to like playing a PlayStation where it's like, oh, you gotta be able to install the whole game up on the system. That's what you're essentially doing with a game key card. Are they gonna like that? Are they gonna dislike that? Is that gonna fill up their storage system a little too quickly though? And then are they gonna kind of be a little bit hesitant? Are they gonna lean more on digital? Or they just say, nope, I'm not gonna do it. I'm just gonna stay away from that little thing that stays on there at the bottom of the label when I walk into a Best Buy, Target, whatever though. That's what the audience for those kind of casual people are, and for the parents and people that buy it for them and making sure they're not getting confused by all the language that's on there. That's going to determine where these third parties are going to go and what they're going to address right back up to Nintendo though. So until we see all that happening, we just got to play a little bit of a waiting game though. But in terms of like the Switch 2 having success right out the gate, it does seem like based on these pre-orders, because they're basically sold out everywhere now. They're gonna easily sell probably 5 to 6 million within like that first week or so, and we'll see what the sales look like for the whole entire year. Though I don't think Nintendo's gonna be struggling at least out the gate, but it's gonna be more so playing that game of longevity. So as those fiscal reports come in, like what we always report on every 3 months when they come in, it's going to be really interesting to kind of look at those kind of sales, especially from third parties, see if we can pull up anything though. So we'll always kind of keep our eyes up on that, kind of keep all y'all informed though. But I think that about wraps all of that up, unless Steven had any other closing remarks on the roundup Switch 2 stuff.
Not really. I'm still excited for the console, but Nintendo really has to learn how to market this generation, because they have not been able to clear up any of these misconceptions themselves. And like, they've also just kind of just been blowing their load way too much. Like, Mario Kart, we basically know everything about Mario Kart like a month and a half before it's going to come out. Like, they showed way too much. They had way too many courses in the demo, and the game just looks like it has no more surprises left. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but it looks like we know everything, and that the game just is a regular, unremarkable, new Mario Kart.
I wouldn't go on that extreme. Like, yeah,
Well, no, no.
you may
I'm
know everything, but it's like there's a difference between knowing versus seeing and
well.
believing.
That's
I
well.
feel like
That's what I'm
that's the
saying.
major difference. So it's like once you get that new Pro controller up in your hand, that new smoother
Yes.
frame
Once you
rate and stuff like that, the 4K visuals and stuff, it's gonna have that little effect. Like I remember playing what was it, Mario Kart 8 the first time on the
Yeah.
Wii U, and I was like, oh,
I know.
this is what Mario Kart racing is in HD.
I
Some
know.
people might have that effect all over again though.
I
And then
just
obviously with some
personally.
of the tricks and stuff, the shortcuts that you're able to do and stuff, you're gonna have a totally different experience playing this thing versus just seeing a little bit of footage we saw in Treehouse. That's all
Yeah.
I gotta say.
I don't know. I guess if I had to just pick one closing remark, I just personally think that there's a lot of people, especially parents, that are just gonna choose to get their kid a Switch One with Mario Kart 8 Deluxe for about half of the price. You have to spend so much goddamn money They get a Switch 2 with Mario Kart, with an NSO subscription, plus anything else, a carrying case, this and that. It honestly does add up to being like $650 to $700 after everything, which is way too much for the average consumer, especially when Mario Kart 8 Deluxe has about double the content and honestly looks in some areas does look a tiny bit better lighting wise. Like the lighting in that game is pretty nice, honestly, compared to Mario Kart World, which has better model quality but worse lighting. I don't know. I just think Mario Kart could make or break the goodwill that this system has.
I don't know. I'm just really curious just to see the sales because we can go back and forth on this thing
Yeah, I
though,
know.
but it's just going to come down to the sales at the end of the day. But mark my words, if for some reason, because remember back in 2017 when Breath of the Wild came out and the Switch, and remember when Breath of the Wild was selling more games than actual systems were actually being out on the market at
Yes, I
one
know.
given point. If we had the same effect with Mario Kart, because maybe some people ain't gonna be able to get a Switch 2 at launch, but they're like, let me just go ahead and pay the money just to go ahead and get Mario Kart, and I'll worry about getting the console a little later on, break up their purchases like 1 month to the next. If we see that same effect again, I mean, shoot, then we might have been arguing for nothing. Like the people voted with their wallets. So I'm just curious. I just want to see the numbers. That's what I want to see, for better or for worse, whether it's good, bad, failing, selling, success, good, bad, failing, succeeding, whatever it may be. I just want to see some numbers. That's all I want. And we can't see that until at least the first week of June, though. But that's going to do it. That's going to wrap it up. We're getting close to 2 hours right here, though. But overall, I'll say that was some pretty good arguments, debates. We got most of the misconceptions out of there, though, because it's so crazy seeing how so many people took some wording or some sayings and stuff from people on the internet as like gospel or whatever though without cross checking or whatever. I'm so careful about anything I talk about, whether it be in my videos or in the podcast or whatever, until I kind of double, triple, and quadruple check it and run it and stuff. Like you didn't see me say, oh, um, all these Switch games are gonna be $80, or you didn't see me go like, oh, Mario Kart Mario Kart World was like $90 or anything like that. You didn't see me jump at the gun on that. I was like, that didn't seem right. I'm waiting for a little more information though. So I always got y'all covered, or at least me and Steven both got y'all covered over here though. But that's basically gonna do it in terms of my ZardCast episode 103. Dang, ended it off on a spicy note, Steven. How about that?
Yeah,
Alrighty. Well, let's go ahead and wrap this mug up. All right, tell the fine people where they can find you at.
you can find me on Twitter at Steven Jr. 1231 or on a collab channel I do with some friends called Spaghetti Disco.
Alrighty, and that's gonna basically do it in terms of this Zarcast episode 103, y'all. So if you really like this episode, make sure you're gonna hit that like button, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and that bell to stay up to date on all things video game related. I feel like talking about and discussing. And if you're curious and want to support the channel just a little bit more, then feel free to hit that join link down below, though. And if you're watching us on YouTube, yeah, just go ahead and share this thing around though, because I feel like there's a lot of stuff that me and Steven said throughout this whole entire episode that I feel like a lot of people probably need to hear out there. I'm just saying no. And if you haven't been listening to this on one of my audio platforms, whether it be Spotify, Apple Music, I said Spotify, Apple Music, iHeartRadio. Yes, you can listen to me in the card, Amazon Music, anywhere else where you can find me at. Just let people know that hey, we're just a couple dudes that just like talking about stuff in the pop culture realm, gaming stuff, Marvel, and everything else in between though. But that's gonna truly do it in terms of this one episode right here though. So remember y'all, until our video I make next, until my next Zarcast episode 104. I'll see y'all later.